So, we're about ready to pull out the old unit. Of course, I've already run tests on this one, which I'll have to compare results. It was really bad. It took like a half hour to run through Geekbench. It's just downright painful. For the price point, it's pretty good, but as one of them things that, man, just looking at everything included in this, like this is an all-in-one unit. It's a really thin screen with this little computer module on the back side. I'll show you. This one, the new one, it's got a whole computer separate that plugs in to the back of the monitor. It's supposed to be bigger. I don't know. Yeah, I can see it. I think it is a little bigger. You can see the bezel, the angle cut is different. So this one is a 9 point something inch screen. Might have been 10 even. This is a 10.4. And I can see it though because of the depth cutting back into it. I think the cutout points are about the same, but this goes at more of an angle, whereas this cuts deeper back. So I can see it. It does look a little bigger. I think you're splitting hairs at that point. I think one or the other would sell itself based on that, but you know, hey, that's something. But yeah, okay, so I'm gonna pull this out and we'll come back. So for those of you not really familiar with this stuff, there's vents here that you have to take off. There's clips. So that's why there's going to be no vents on the new unit. Whatever you get, switch it out. I think most of you guys probably know that, but just for anyone that doesn't, you have to use your vents from your factory unit. I already switched them to the eBay unit, and now I'll be switching them to the other unit. But they just, like 5 pop tabs around it, pop right out. So, a little bit of a letdown. This is the plug that, I mean, I wasn't looking at it on the car, so I wasn't sure, but it has all these extra plugs, just like the Harman Kardon system does. And most of them look about the same size, but they are just slightly different. Like, none of them fit in any of them. They're all really close. So, without actually holding it up to the car, you know, you'd figure that they're going to fit, but just they're not. So I guess China, Japan, Europe, I don't know, they have a different cord for their cars. I mean, this one specifically says Outback power cord. Outback and Legacy being basically the same thing, I assumed you got the one and then you got the standard. This is something different, so I'm gonna have to go back to my standard thing. But I mean, honestly, it's not that hard for you guys with the HK. If you want to try to go with it, I mean, it's a little bit of work, but in the end, it's pretty cool for what you're gonna end up getting out of it. So, plug and play, I do not think this is going to be for HK. For those of you interested in trying to do it with the HK, the way I did it, I ran under the seat. The passenger seat is an amplifier. You can bypass that amplifier. I replaced all my doors because I didn't know how the factory HK speakers would do with it. I just figured I'd just gut them all out. I think I paid $130 for Rockford Fosgates. I did components in the front, but they're like simple components. There's no actual like equalizer or whatever they call it to actually separate the highs and lows. So it just runs your highs to your high and your lows to your lows, and they literally connect to the same wire down below. So it's almost like just front left, front right, rear left, rear right. Is all it is. So it's a set of 8 wires. There's 2 wires for each. Okay, had to grab a charger. Figured I'd set up a light because the lighting is not great, but now, hey, you can see everything, so sweet. On this, the way I ran it, there are your amplifier, your speaker wires that are coming off of here, and so I just ran them straight. There is this, if you want to run like a 4-channel, I don't know if these things are amplified or not. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that much about car audio. I do know that if you were to run a 4-channel, which, you know, for a lot of you guys, maybe that's the best route, would just be to replace what you have with like a 4-channel, and then the 4-channel, we can show you which wiring to tap in that's under the seat to get your power to the doors. That would be a really good option. Probably a more simple option. You would just have to get 2 sets of RCAs, run them down and 2 underneath the passenger seat. Replace that with a 4-channel. All the wiring is under that seat for all the doors, and you could wire it in that way. For me, when I ran mine, because I'm running straight, I have no 4-channel. I'm running directly from the amplifier, or from the head unit to each of the doors to my Rockford Fosgates. And then I do have a subwoofer in the trunk to kind of fill that audio out, because, you know, just 4 doors from a Harman Kardon system to a non-amplified system is going to sound like garbage. It's not going to be good. So, you know, you got to kind of make that decision. But I have a 12-inch in the trunk, and the cheap door speakers do more than adequate for the mids and the highs. And I get my lows from the trunk, so this works for me. With the wiring, like, you just kind of got to isolate what you need. This is the new one. I've already isolated which wires are which. You can tell because with these wires, not so much the factory one, because that thing's confusing as heck. You're gonna have to have a diagram, but this one's pretty simple. You got your whites. One of them has a black line on it, and one of them straight. So that's going to be one speaker. That's going to be another one. There, you got 2 colors. One of them solid, one of them with a black line. There's 4 sets, and so that's going to be for each of your 4 corners. And we can tell you, you know, I can try to get one, or somebody else on the page can try to get you a breakdown of what goes to what. But I'm just going to go ahead and tap them in. You know, I used to, for a lot of years, I would just twist the wires and electrical tape, and I never really had problems. If you want a really good connection, you get a soldering iron like I have here, and shrink tubing. That's a lifetime connection. You're never going to have a problem with that. That's solid. If somebody goes in, pulls the radio, starts jacking stuff, they're going to have a hard time breaking these connections versus twisting and tape. But both work, you know, whatever you have on hand or you want to reuse, they'll either way, they'll work.